afford to do that, right? So you just have to do what is right for your family and your dynamic. I know I also discussed with you earlier about waking up earlier and having, you know, about an hour or two with them before school starts. Because if there are certain things that I know I want to do with them and I want to focus with them with their learning, there's certain things I just can't outsource, especially because I'm a teacher. So there's certain things, my expectations are way above, you know. So, you know, using that time and rearranging, you know, the entire household. So we all have to be, they have to be in bed by a certain time. I can manage to be up earlier because I'm up at that time anyway.
About waking up earlier,
but just changing our norm. And if our whole household has to reflect that, then so be it.
Right. Right. I love what you said, because the truth is we have to all be flexible, and
yes,
there's, you know, being a parent includes teachable moments which you don't always plan for, and this whole pandemic, this lockdown has been a real example of teachable moments live, you know,
it
showing
has been.
how you respond to uncertainties in a healthy way. Okay, because I'm conscious of time, I want, if you have questions.
No, I actually prepared a PowerPoint, but I got so enthralled in our conversation that I didn't even.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine. But yeah, I think I want us to have time for the questions that people may have.
Do you want to share your PowerPoint now? And then
okay, I can quickly run through.
Okay.
I can quickly run through. Okay, I think I need to have the ability to do that.
You have, I believe you're a panelist, so you should have access.
I should. Okay, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, really? Let me quickly.
I mean, we don't have to though. That's fine.
Oh, and so where is that? Where do I do that? Okay, share screen. All panelists. All right. Go ahead. You can do it now.
Yay. Okay. Yay. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So OEQA and parents, a powerful partnership. We believe that if we're focusing on quality education for every single child, then we need to have a holistic approach, and family and community engagement is very important in achieving that for quality education of every child. Some of this we've already discussed. COVID-19 has exposed existing education system weaknesses around the world, right? No one has got it together. The US, the UK, those that we look to, even they are trying to figure it out. Okay, and as we've discussed, no one was fully prepared for online learning. Even if you had done it to some extent in the past, it's different now. We learned how important school is, not just for learning, but to provide social and emotional support and to keep mothers in the workforce, right? So this may not be totally relevant to a Nigerian context, but it's interesting that, you know, the data in the US states that 800,000 women in the US left the workforce in August alone. So having to make that decision as a family, if you're a two-parent household, who works and who is going to support these children during this online learning.
Right.
So we may be back in school, but we cannot return to the status quo. Things are different and they will never be the same again. We need to, at this time, there are opportunities. So we need to be able to prepare for emergencies that may occur, not just in the school, but just even in terms of the learning, how it's going to impact learning. You said that the school that your children did, the school that your children go to, they learned from Ebola, and that has just, you know, as a result, continued. So this COVID time expectedly did not destabilize them too much. And we're hoping that all schools are able to get to that level. Okay, how can we improve parent awareness of learning expectations and content? Ensure that quality assurance in education addresses remote and hybrid learning, as well as in-person learning. So we've done that a lot through the registration and the clearance process that we've had schools do with our office. And part of that is having, mandatory communication plans. We need to know that you are able to communicate with your parents, your families, your stakeholders in a way that makes sense, and that you can do that frequently when it's needed. So you have to plan, you have that plan for that. It just doesn't happen sporadically. And also for learning, right? We've had a lockdown at some point. Other countries have had second, third waves of COVID, and as a result, a lockdown has followed. So if another wave were to occur, and if we need to be on lockdown, not even just for COVID, in the event of NSARS, it was security, right? So when there is an all around lockdown, learning has to be planned. If that situation requires it, strengthen child support and protection inside and outside school. Children are exposed to more now, not just online, but even children that were at risk before, maybe having parents that have to work and they have to be home alone, or they have to fend for themselves or bring additional income into the home. These children are now exposed to different things that they might not have been before when the school was a safe haven for them. And we need to double down on supporting literacy reading levels of our students. So to this end, we've talked about launching Lagos Learns Together. So finally, it's happening, but this is part of Lagos Learns Together. So Lagos Learns Together is basically a three-pronged approach to having learning resources for students. Parents, teachers, and school owners are major stakeholders. And we're realizing that we have to have we have to take into account different levels of access. And we've basically started with the levels of access for our students, right? So there's a web portal of open resources for students, parents, teachers. We're distributing learning content and learning packs, so physical learning packs, to our most vulnerable populations. This content will also be available online and through our Telegram classes. Courses for school leaders, teachers, and parents, similar to what we're doing today, having them recorded and put on the website, so subsequently a parent can go in and learn about how to support my child during online learning, how to, engage in discipline during this time, anything that parents would need that would be formal or non-formal. Literacy assessments and interventions specifically for primary school students, and transparent school evaluations. So this is a bit of a screenshot of part of the website, right? So we have a screenshot of whatever resource we have, and then there is a very brief summary of what that website is and what it entails. We made sure that they've been curated and they're free or free for the time of COVID, okay? And then expert interviews and advice depending on what the topic is. This is an example of a learning pack for JSS 1 to 3. So we have 4 different learning packs that will be available. The soft copy will be available online. And also, so on the website, through the Telegram classes, and as physical packs. And we have it for primary 1 to 3, primary 4 to 6, JS 1 to 3, and SS 1 to 3. And we intend on having those out on a monthly basis. So different topics, courses for parents, teachers, and school leaders. There's a few examples: helping your child to learn to read, supporting reading comprehension, studying skills, innovation, having difficult conversations. I won't really go through this, but just to give you an idea of the type of literacy assessment and intervention that we're planning to do. And we're going to start off with collecting baseline information of public school students and private school students, and really being able to, get a sampling of data to figure out where our students are and what they need to do to improve. And we're started with primary 3 students. We will create more motivation around our Read Aloud Lagos program. So having mandatory, well, not mandatory, but having, goals of maybe 25 books or 5 books that students need to read, reading aloud stories on the Read Aloud Lagos website. We have a lot of stories there, including astronauts that are reading from space, so just get that back on the forefront, online and in schools. And then this is what I'm very, very excited about is the grading process that we plan to have within our office. It's a 2-year plan to get kids started. We'll start next year. So we are planning to not just go to schools as we have been to inspect them, but also giving some sort of grading, right? So having grades based on infrastructure, based on teacher quality, based on readiness for child protection, all these things based on teacher effectiveness, so that parents have some baseline information about how their schools are doing. And this will be for public and private schools. So that's it. I hope I didn't take too much time.
Oh, that was perfect, quick, and straight to the point. Um, Now there's a question that came that I think fits quite nicely into what you just shared, your last slide. And the question was, is there any plan to rank schools in Lagos? It feels like popularity, high school fees, and location is what school owners use to determine if their school is great. Parents have nothing standardized to go by.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Yeah, so that's what we're hoping the grading will do, right? The grading should address that. Um, so for instance, if you have a school that's down the street and that is 10 naira and the school is graded AB and we've maybe it's a B overall, but then you're able to see the indicators as to why they're a B, maybe on a scale of 1 to 4. Their teachers are top quality based on student surveys. The children feel welcome in that school environment and they would recommend that school to other children. The parents are happy. Everything is not just about academics. We will also look at academics because that has a lot to do with the effectiveness of the school and the effectiveness of the teachers at the end of the day. What their results have been in YF or external exams they've taken or universities that the students end up graduating and going to. But yes, at the beginning it will be basic things. So basic things like infrastructural data on learning assessment and those things. But as we move on, those are the things that from the beginning, I said I'd like to start with the end in mind. That's where we're going. I want to be able to compare a school that's down the street that costs X amount to a school across the state. And if I'm deciding to go to school across the state, I'm willingly making that I'm making an informed decision to do so.
Gotcha.
Great question.
Yeah, that's really important because that's a question we get a lot is how do you determine if a school is good? Is it the fees? Is it convenient?
Right.
What should you be looking at? And I think there's no one final answer because everything is different for you. But I honestly don't personally believe a child should be spending 3 hours one way to get to school. There's just
right.
I mean, why?
It's challenging. It's challenging. But at least even if you're doing that, you're doing that equipped with all this information, right? If you choose to do that as a parent, then your end justifies the means, right? You're making an informed decision. You know that it's going to be worth it at the end of the day. And if they're not serving your needs, then you have information to go elsewhere. There is choice when it comes to, especially, to private schools.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And you mentioned something that I didn't know was something that was being offered. Their Telegram classes. So how do parents get access to that?
It's part of the Lagos Learns Together that I've been talking to you about launching. So when we launch, that will be available on our website. The information about that will be available on the website. So we're really excited. To finally launch. So, I mean, the Telegram classes, they'll be very low hanging to begin with, right? It's recognizing that a lot of people are not even able to go to physical school for whatever reason, and may not have access as a result of that, maybe to like a learning management system. So even if it's for a few hours a day where they're able to turn in work and get feedback on their work, because, oftentimes, it's one thing for a child to do work, but getting feedback is crucial to making sure that the learning stays with them. So being able to get feedback on the work, being able to have curated lessons that are based on maybe voice notes, videos, and then of course the learning packs itself. So at the very least, that resource will be available on that Telegram, which is just the learning pack that you can just download, because the physical learning pack will be made available to those that are most vulnerable. So those that don't have TV, those that don't have radio, and where the physical pack will probably be the only source of learning for them. So we're in the process of getting that done now.
Yeah. That's good. And I think I like the fact that we're being modular and accepting what pertains as they will for us here locally. Not everybody can go online. Not everyone can have access to a computer or Zoom.
Yeah.
To make sure that we're reaching out to those who maybe it's WhatsApp they're using or Telegram.
Exactly.
And at least we can use technology to our advantage to make sure that learning is being disseminated to as many children as possible.
Right.
Okay, I have one other question that we had that came in, and the question here is around school resumption. Are all schools fully resumed now, or how
Yes.
exactly is that playing?
All schools are able to open, right? So as we found now during COVID, from some schools, they've made the decision that they want to open and just online, and that's fine, right? That is fine. That works for your school, and that's fine. Some schools have said, you know what, we can do it hybrid. You're in school 2 days, and then the remaining you're at home. And some schools are fully in. Now, with whatever your school decides, they still must adhere to COVID-19 set protocols. They still need to maintain social distancing. They still need to make sure that children are washing their hands frequently. They need to have those systems in place, and they still need to be wearing their face mask. So at the very, very least, that's what needs to be done. Our office has required that all schools in the state register as a first point towards reopening, so that they register with us, and then there's a course that all teachers and school-based staff are supposed to take. And right now we have roughly 30,000 teachers that have taken that course. And then they're supposed to show evidence. The school owner then shows evidence of a few of their teachers taking that as they submit the plans towards clearance. And those plans are centered on communications, like I talked about earlier, learning plans, so hybrid, remote, in school, how's it going to work? Assessment is part of that as well. How are you getting baseline information about where your children are so you can address those gaps? Operational plans, how is the school being run? How are kids being dropped off? How are they coming in? What stickers are on the ground? How many, floor plans where you've measured out your rooms and you can figure out how many children can fit in that room, or if you're doing outdoors, right? And you're able to maintain the social distancing parameters, that's fine as well. Whatever works, it's not going to be the same, but you need to show us that you've planned toward that, for clearance. And then the last is health, safety, and sanitation. How frequently your bathrooms being cleaned, how frequently, what type of plans you have in place for sanitizers being refilled, or soap, water. Not everyone has running water, so they need to refill buckets with water, so, and then also having a clear idea about your COVID-19 isolation centers, knowing the full processes and protocols for if there's COVID in your school, what's to be done, what the expectations are supposed to be. So this is what we've set up for schools. And right now we have about 15,000 schools that are registered, both public and private, that are registered with us toward that. And we have quite a number of schools that have submitted their plans toward reopening. So right now we're in the process of evaluating those plans and then planning to give schools clearance. Now, clearance is not mandatory for reopening, right? Federal government has told you what to do. Their guidelines, read, schools, read, do what you're supposed to do. But this is just an extra layer of support that we're offering our schools at no cost to anyone.
Fantastic. That's great to know. We have one more question and then we'll start to wrap up. This question came in from someone who wants to know, what are your thoughts on developmental levies, aka levy to pin you down in our school, irrespective of the quality of our service?
Well, you know,
Did you get the question?
I think so, with development levies, right? And I know those fees have been existent
Yeah.
before COVID, right?
Um, okay. I think we have a little break in trans. Just waiting for Bella to connect back. If you have any further questions, you can drop it in the Q&A. We've also checked the YouTube channel as well.
Hello.
Okay, you're back.
Hi. Yeah.
Hello.
Our Niger factor. So I was dependent
Yes.
on the Wi-Fi. Okay.
That's fine.
So with the development levies, those levies have been on ground before. Oh my God.
What's that? I think she's probably just reconnecting back, so a few minutes for that to come back on. Just wait for Bella to come back. For everyone who's on, thank you. Like, she's just answering the question around developmental levies. So just gonna wait for her to come back, and then we will wrap up. So we've been covering quite a few things today, and this is just in a series of engaging all the stakeholders around our children's education, specifically with the DG on quality assurance when it comes to education being provided for our children. And the conversation today is really about what we can be doing to support our children's education. And we're taking questions, and it's open-ended, so you can ask any questions that you have. We're waiting for her to come back on so we can wrap up today's virtual town hall. If you have any comments, chats, you can drop it in the chat room to let us know what you think about this. Is it something you'd like to be part of in the future? Is there any suggestions you have as well about, having this kind of conversations on a more regular basis? I would love to see your comment in the chat room. You can send it to me directly or to everyone. So let's just see if she's going to be able to come back on. Now, this is some of the reality, right? When we're talking about online learning, for example, anything can happen with power, and the children are not able to connect back to class. And the reality is we need to have backups, and we need to be flexible as well, because this can happen. This can happen anytime to anybody. All right, I'm getting a few comments saying that, this has been insightful. Yes, indeed, Lagos Learns Together, which is launching, is really, really a great initiative to get our children access to continuous learning wherever they are. So you would want to check that out. If somebody can drop the link to the website for Lagos Learns Together, if it's available, you can drop that in the chat room, that would be great. If not, we'll send it to everybody who registered for this webinar. Okay, well, we might have to wrap up, because I think there's some challenge with getting back. But I want to just summarize some of the things we've spoken about. We've spoken about the fact that, we need to be flexible. Our children are going through a lot of changes right now. Schools cannot go back to the way they were pre-pandemic. Things have changed. We need to be thinking about online learning, remote learning. You should be asking yourself, I like what she said about backward by design. So you want to think about where you want your child to end up 3 months, 6 months, 1 year down the line, and then work backwards. Schools have definitely changed forever. We need to realize that expectations should be different now that our children have been at home for a while, or maybe are even still learning from home. Expectations should be different. Homework might be taking longer, for example, because maybe the child takes longer because they're using the computer to do it versus writing. We also need to make sure that we're encouraging them to continue to learn, to continue to read. Literacy is critical. What else did we talk about? We talked about being flexible, support your child during this period. Children are also being exposed to so much more now because some parents have to work and children, for example, have to be at home by themselves. So we have to be looking at protection as well because children are being exposed to much more than before. And, you know, the DG Abiola did mention Lagos Learns Together, which is launching, which offers a lot of material, learning material, support, access to experts. So it's a holistic platform that helps children and educators and parents to support their children with their learning, but lifelong learning, not just academics. Learning today is so much more than just, you know, the grades you get in school. She also spoke about the learning packs that are physically being delivered to areas that don't have access, for example, to online learning. So it's not only limited to people that can get online or not. They have packs, 4 different packs that are going out across different classes. They're also launching a grading school system, which will start to grade schools and start to give you public insight into the schools based on several parameters. So, you know, infrastructure, teachers, quality, and all of those things. So it would help us to start getting a sense of accreditation of the schools. So we covered a lot of things actually, and you know, we'll be having this more regularly so that parents know what is going on in terms of quality assurance for education in the state. Now we have the website, and the website is oeqalagos.com. So you can see the picture on the website, on the Zoom here. So that's oeqalagos.com. So you can get more information there about the Office of Education Quality Assurance. And the Lagos Learns Together website is being updated at the moment. So once it is launched and it is good to go, we will make sure we get that information to everybody. Okay, we're getting a message from the speaker saying that this has been very good. Thank you, Mercy, for sharing that this is commendable and that you hope we can make this system work. Indeed, this is the plan, to continue to have this dialogue so that we can all benefit and we can all grow and learn from each other. So thank you for being part of this. You know, we will keep you up to date on next sessions. So feel free to invite anyone that you believe will get value from attending such conversations in the future. If you have specific areas you'd like us to cover, also let us know so that we can plan for that in the future. This video, yes, will be made available to everybody. So you will be able to get access to replay, and we'll also share it on our Lagos Moms YouTube channel, as well as the OEQA channel on YouTube. So thank you everybody for participating, and we'll be ending this town hall session now. Thank you thank you. You're welcome, Remy. Thank you for participating. All right, everyone, bye now.